Week 3 of the NFL was a wild, wild ride. We had the Dolphins putting up 70 points. We had the Cardinals beating the Cowboys, and we're going to wrap that sucker up tonight with the Rams versus the Bengals, which we're going to be doing a watch along for. So join us for that. That's going to be the main course, but here's a little appetizer. I got a mock draft for y'all. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. As always, I pulled this draft order from a Tankathon. It's based on the current standings, so if you got a problem with it, tell your team to suck less. Got the Bears here, drafted at 1. Feels kind of like a no-brainer. Listen, if they're drafted at 1, the Justin Fields experiment went horribly, horribly wrong. Let's go ahead. Let's get Caleb Williams and hopefully get yourself out of this mess. This is more of like a Matt Eberflus job-saving move than it is, well, Justin Fields, we just don't think you're going to be anything in the NFL. Though this year it has been a bit rough for him. The Denver Broncos would be an interesting position here at 2 because I think there's a lot wrong with that team that this number 2 overall pick is not going to solve. You're kind of pot committed when it comes to Russell Wilson, at least for the next year or so. So I don't know if getting a new quarterback really does anything here. But they probably will exercise trying to like free up some cap via releasing some players like a Garrett Bowles, which we could consider Olufashanu or Joe Alt here. But I think they could probably go another route. I mean, they could still do that move and also cut Courtland Sutton, who he's approaching 30, and they could get out of this contract and it'll free up, I think, like 17 million in terms of cap. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of the best non-quarterback prospect on the board. So I think I'm going to go ahead and snag him here. I think that just might be the best move for the Broncos in this position. Kirk Cousins, he's a free agent for Minnesota. So shoot, let's go ahead, draft our quarterback of the future. We're going to be taking Drake Maye here. I think he's probably the quarterback 2 for now. There's other guys that could make a case there, but they're older prospects. The Chicago Bears, we're back on the clock with Carolina's pick. We went ahead, grabbed our quarterback of the future with, well, Caleb Williams. So what do we do next? What? Oh, it's kind of tough, but this is a very talented offensive draft. So you're going to want to go offense here. Problem is we're staring down 2 really good tackles. How good do you feel about, do you say, okay, well, Braxton Jones, honestly, Braxton Jones wasn't bad his rookie year, and I thought he was solid thus far this season before the injury. So I don't know. It's kind of rough, but regardless, I think it's just the best value on the board for the Bears. I'm going to go with Olufashanu. I think he's a better fit for Getsy's system than Joe Alt is. So, I mean, you come out of this draft with a franchise tackle and quarterback. What more can you ask for? Cincinnati Bengals. Well, I want to tackle too because Jonah Williams, nah, let's try to get better at the right tackle position. Joe Alt I kind of lean more him as my OT1, but like for me, it's like him and Fashanu are 1A, 1B. So I'm going to go ahead and snag Joe Alt here for the Cincinnati Bengals. And before we get to pick 6, I just want to give a shout out to Underdog Fantasy, baby. Thank you for being the sponsor of today's video. If you sign up on Underdog Fantasy using promo code Broshmo, they'll match your first deposit up to $100 dues. So you want to deposit 80, you're gonna have 160 to play with on Underdog Fantasy. They do weekly best ball leagues. They do higher, lower, or the player prop picks. And we have a whole video dedicated to Gojo's picks of the week, talking about some of our favorite bets on Underdog, which we hit on this week, at least with one of ours. But let's go ahead, get into pick 6, the Los Angeles Chargers. And this might sound crazy. Matter of fact, it probably does sound crazy. You could look at what some of the defensive prospects, but man, I'm looking at Brock Bowers and I'm like, you know what? So what? Our offense can't stop or our defense can't stop anybody. Well, we could just make it to where our offense can't be stopped in general, and we can maybe add pieces via free agency. I mean, you could start by getting a DC, because I'm just going to assume Brandon Staley might not make it through the season. So I'm going to snag Brock Bowers for the squad. I really, really like that fit for the Los Angeles Chargers. You're not in San Diego no more. You haven't been for quite some time. All right, things are gonna get a little weird here with the Las Vegas. There we go. I almost said Los Angeles. I'm all tongue-tied in this video. Las Vegas Raiders. As we just watched them tonight, it wasn't pretty. I mean, it was good in some parts, but overall, it wasn't a pretty outing. And you got to think, okay, there's got to be something better than Jimmy G out here. Is there something better in this class? And honestly, I think there can be. I think there's a couple of older prospects that probably are capable of starting right now. And I'm going to swing on one of those prospects right here, right now. I'm going to go with Bo Nix. He was fabulous against Colorado. He's been great this season. He's not the same quarterback you remember from Auburn. This is a guy that's really cleaned up his decision making, and he's got a nose for the big play. And the dude processes and maneuvers the pocket really, really well. He brings you some legs there in the pocket. So I'm going to go there for the Raiders. All right. Is this our first pick for the Cardinals? Wow, man. Guess we ain't taking this here, huh? I say we. I'm not even a Cardinals fan. So this is the Cardinals' first pick via Houston. There's a variety of different ways we can go, but I think honestly, like at this point, it's like, yeah, you're keeping Kyler Murray, so I guess defense is kind of the way you want to go. And Jonathan Gannon, man, when he was there with the Eagles, he was like, man, you know what I really love about this Eagles squad? How deep our defensive line is. So let's go ahead and get this defensive line deep. I'm not gonna go edge here, surprisingly, because they've been getting some production out of their edge talent. But I'm going to go on the interior with Jason Newton, man. This guy's a penetrator, and despite being sub 300, he's a really good run stuffer as well. All right, I got the Tennessee Titans here on the clock. This one's a little tough. I was thinking offensive line, but I don't think the offensive line has played like appallingly bad. It's really been just the offense. Things just haven't been clicking. They could probably get better at the playmaker department. Yeah, they got D-Hop, but D-Hop's kind of on the downslope of his career. Treylon Burks, I think, could be really solid, but he's got that slot versatility. So we can go ahead and snag another playmaker. And I was like, man, do I just get another like alpha X wide receiver? Or do I maybe go with just this fluid mover, someone who could attack all levels of the field? Or do I go with one of the sickest route runners in this class? Like, there was a lot at my disposal. This is a really good receiving class. And I ultimately decided to go ahead and snag Keon Coleman, man. Get that Alpha X. You could have him, D-Hop play on the outside, have Burks play there in the slot, and wow. Jacksonville Jaguars, this one's a little tough. I mean, this is a team that outside of Josh Allen hasn't been able to get pressure. They really have not been able to get pressure on the quarterback. Just look at that Texans game. Unable to get pressure. Just wild. So if Josh Allen is a free agent after this season, if they don't bring him back, they're probably going to be in the department for another edge. And Trent Baalke, he likes his stupid athletic freaks. Like, I love Jared Verse at this point, but maybe they go with Aliatu Latu, who's been a little bit more productive this season. And honestly, he's been more productive the last 2 years than Jared Verse. You don't really get the all-around game of Jared Verse, but you get tremendous pass rush and upside, really good finesse pass rusher in Aliatu Latu. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. Okay, we got the New York Football Jets. I'm going to assume Aaron Rodgers is going to be back because he said, yeah, I plan on being back. So this got to be offensive tackle. Like, I would consider quarterback, but this feels a little high for a few of the other options on the board. Like, Bo Nix felt high at 7, so best believe some of the other guys available here would feel high. So I'm just going to go ahead and improve the offensive line. The offensive line has been just a disaster this season for the Jets. I'm going to go with Armarius Mims. He is currently hurt, but he should return in about 4 to 5 weeks. But he has been impressive, just impressive this season, and he was tremendously impressive last year in the playoffs for Georgia. Excuse me. New England Patriots. I would have loved Mims here. I don't think I want to jump on the next tackle because I don't really see the next few tackles as instant starters, and I feel like the Patriots kind of need an instant starter right now at this point. Instead, I want to get someone who can create after the catch, who can attack all levels of the field. I'm getting one of my favorite receivers in this class. Where you at? Malik freaking Neighbors, man. This guy can create after the catch. He had 21 forced missed tackles last season. And then against Mississippi State last week, man, he was killing them deep all game long. Okay, Arizona Cardinals. I'm contemplating taking the first corner off the board here, but I think I want to build through the trenches. Like, I grabbed Jerzon Newton, and now maybe I do take that edge talent because Jared Verse is magically still here for the Cardinals. So I think I'm going to do that, man. Grabbing Jerzon Newton and Jared Verse just radically changes your defensive line. The New York Football Giants. All right. Well, I would love to protect stinking Daniel Jones because you at least got him for the next year. But obviously putting rookies in starting positions hasn't really worked out for the Giants. They probably need to invest in free agency in the offensive line. Dory Jackson could be a cap casualty after this season. Trey Hawkins, it was a late round selection by the Giants. He's had his ups, his downs, his rookie lumps. Might be better as a depth piece. Maybe take another shot on someone to pair up outside of Deontay Banks. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Kool-Aid McKinstry here. That's just really good value. Okay, LA Rams. I just want to get them more pass rush, get them some more defense, get someone to play opposite of Byron Young, who's played well this year. But it's basically, this defense is Aaron Rodgers against the world. So I'm gonna go dip into this edge class, and I'm gonna grab me Chop freaking Robinson. Stupid explosive coming off the edge there. Green Bay Packers. So they're in a little bit different of a position than kind of the teams, compared to teams like the Patriots, the Giants, and the Rams. They could probably afford to take a tackle here and sit them, not have to play them right away. It's kind of a luxury. I know people talk about David Bakhtiari being maybe a cap casualty. I think they'll find something and make it work. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get his heir apparent in JC Latham. Listen, Latham, he's got everything you want from an offensive tackle in terms of length, size, movement skills, power. It's just, he is so just technically unrefined that you don't want to start this cat right away. You can't. It's going to be a disaster. But if the Packers grab him, he gets the luxury of being able to sit while they develop him. So I'm going to snag him here. Okay, we got the New Orleans Saints. Not gonna lie to y'all, contemplated quarterback. But I reeled back on that and I was like, you know what? The offensive line right now is such a disaster that, well, shoot, man. I guess it's just such a disaster that I'd love to address it here. Like, Trevor Penning essentially is playing his rookie year and it's looked terrible. Ryan Ramchak's amazing, but like your guard play is terrible. I don't care what any of y'all say about Cesar Ruiz. He is mediocre at best. So I feel like for me, this is a little high for him, but he has that flexibility because he has the limited length to be able to play guard and maybe tackle in a pinch for y'all. He doesn't really have the power that this scheme typically really likes, but the movement skills are really good. He's been really solid for Duke. I'm going to go ahead and grab Graham Barton with the intention of playing him at guard. All right, Dallas Cowboys. This defense turned bad real quick once Trevon Diggs went down. Like, Josh Dobbs was throwing on y'all. It's kind of wild. So for a team that has a lot of things, like, honestly, I was I would love offensive line depth, but it just doesn't feel, it's just not the right time to grab offensive line depth here. So maybe you just get some depth there at corner. Kalen Keen's actually a really good value here. The Atlanta Falcons. This is a team that is a quarterback away. Desmond Ridder, I don't think he's it. At least what we've seen hasn't been encouraging. I get it. He's very young in his development, or very early in his development. I probably would still look for more promise. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to go with the quarterback position. I'm going to go with Michael Penix. Big thing that kept him out of the first round, or at least for being a first round prospect for me, it was the injuries. But if he plays this year fully healthy, back-to-back fully healthy seasons, I think you could probably overlook that just given like how talented he is. This guy can sling it down the field. Maybe Kyle Pitts and Drake London will be relevant for this offense. I know all y'all are going to say that's part of the scheme, but that's also part of, well, having an inept quarterback. So I'm going to grab Michael Penix. The Houston Texans, man. You could make a pitch for offensive line, but again, there's really not an interior player that's a first round pick here. So it's like, yeah, you just can't really go with that position. At the end of the day, I was like, you know what, man? What does DeMeco Ryans love to do? He loves to stop the run. And Chris Jenkins would allow him to do so. So I'm going to snag him here for the Houston Texans. Buffalo Bills, this was kind of an easy pick for me. Spencer Brown is bad. Let's try to find his heir apparent. I really like Kingsley with a very, very fun last name that I've yet to figure out the pronunciation for, but I'll probably get it now after this video, because I've been saying I was gonna do it for last like couple of mocks, and I still haven't. Guaranteed I'll do it after this. But he's got the length, he's got good power, good athleticism, just needs some little bit of polish. But I think this cat has all the traits to be a first rounder. Go ahead, snag him here for the Bills. This one's kind of an interesting one for Washington. I'm not ready to hit eject on Sam Howell yet. I kind of said it with Sam Howell. It's like his turnovers are like cataclysmic. They like hurt 10 times more than a normal quarterback's turnover, because a lot of times it leads to a score in play, whether it's on the actual turnover or it puts the team in scoring position. But we've seen the upside with them. We've seen the upside. So you have Curtis Samuel potentially gone after this season. Maybe grabbing a receiver that they don't really have a prototype for yet might honestly be kind of solid here. Paired up. I mean, it's Eric Bieniemy, man. He loves having a variety of weapons. So coming off the big game this week against Notre Dame, Mecca Ibuka comes in there with Scary Terry and Jahan Dotson, and now you kind of give Sam Howell like no excuses. So we go with that here. Baltimore Ravens. This wasn't also an interesting one. I thought pass rush, first player that popped in my mind was like we got guys like Dallas Turner, JT Tuimoloau, we got Braylon Trice. Ultimately, I ended up settling on going receiver. Like what they signed it wasn't a 1-year deal with OBJ. Rashad Bateman essentially was benched for Nelson Aguilar. Yikes. So I'm actually going to grab somebody Todd Monken is familiar with. I'm going to snag A.D. freaking Mitchell. You get size on the outside. You get a very talented athlete who could stretch the field vertically, but also has the capabilities of being a really good route runner. Just needs to kind of develop in that regard. A.D. Mitchell has played very, very well, and he's probably outside of people that were already throwing him in the first round, he's been a hot riser for few of the other people like me that was just kind of going with more of the wait and see approach. Seattle Seahawks, this one was kind of difficult. I was thinking about going edge talent, but I was like, you know what? I can take the first safety off the board because Quandre Diggs hasn't been good this year. Julian Love hasn't even been good this year. So, and I know it's early in the season. Wait for them. Maybe they'll probably get better as the year goes on. But as it stands right now, maybe grabbing Cameron Kitchen, someone who's just got that full like center field ball hawking ability, be kind of fun for the Seahawks. Kansas City Chiefs. This one was just kind of a no-brainer for me. They really need to re-sign Chris Jones. And even if they do get in someone next to him, I think would just be freaking marvelous, man. So I'm going to grab my boy Leonard Taylor, who had a big game against Temple this past weekend. All right. I got the Indianapolis Colts over here, and a lot of things ran through my mind. I like how the offensive line's playing, and honestly, defense is playing nice, despite my non-love for Gus Bradley. And it's not like I hate Gus Bradley. I just find him very mediocre, which is fine. I mean, he coaches a good defense. Like, this is a solid defense in spite of there being some youth in that back end. But I was like, man, maybe more playmakers would really help Anthony Richardson out there. Because like Alec Pierce, we've seen flashes of him, but a lot of times it's just kind of, as of late, it's just like disappearing act. So grabbing another outside receiver there that's kind of a freak, maybe for a Shane Steichen, maybe an AJ Brown type. That's what I'm thinking of here. I'm gonna go with Rome Odunze out of Washington. He is athletically and physically that freak. I think he's starting to get the nuances of the wide receiver position. And there's a lot of people that are going to project this guy to the moon. So I'm going to snag him right here for the Colts. You also got Joshua Downs there, who can work outside and inside. The Detroit Lions, I've been saying it all year, man. They got no pass rush outside of Aiden Hutchinson. James Houston's been on IR, but even then, he's more of a DPR. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to snag Braylon Trice here. I think he's actually a good fit. Just feels like a Dan Campbell type of guy. And likewise, I considered going Quinn Ewers here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I mean, if you're picking here, then Baker might have had a really solid season. So I was like looking at other spots, and like the pass rush is a little bit lackluster. Joe Tryon hasn't really emerged big time yet. Shaquille Barrett or Shaq Barrett is more so like on the downslope of his career, in the twilight of his career, though he can still produce at a high level, just on a smaller like volume. So you can still have him in the rotation there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna swing. The Bucks like to swing on some of these freakish athletes, And I really think where you at? JT Tuimoloau coming off a good game against Notre Dame. He's actually been fairly solid this season, like way more consistent than he has been in the past. A guy that just stupid strong, moves extremely well for a 275 pounder or 270 pounder. So I'm gonna snag him here. Oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one was a bit of a toughie. And ultimately, I was thinking, Cam Hayward's getting up there in years, even though the play has yet to fallen off. But maybe injuries will be that thing, not necessarily the play, but just the ability to stay healthy for him. He's currently hurt, placed on IR. So I was like, okay, that's the spot we can go. I don't think Cooper DeJean fits the coverage scheme there for the Steelers. There are a couple of other guys I thought about, like Denzel Burks, who's kind of been a big riser. You have, was it Corlon? Oh gosh, what's his name? The Wake Forest corner. Kalen Carson, who's kind of been, he's just been fine this year. Not I don't know if he's not having the year like that Devon Witherspoon had that kind of put his name on the map. I'm trying to think of other corners here, but I think those are probably the ones. Like Nate Wiggins, maybe another guy that comes to mind. But instead, I think I'm going to opt for just going with kind of the freakish talents of Mason Smith. Tad there on the interior, and suddenly you have Keanu Benton and Mason Smith as kind of those guys moving forward, kind of being the Stephon Tuitt and Cameron Hayward of the next generation, so to speak. Philadelphia Eagles, they just, you know what they do. Howie's like, who's the best player on the board? Who has fallen down the board? It's Cooper DeJean at this point. A guy that can play, he can play on the outside, he can play on the slide, he can play at safety. He gives you so much versatility that he's going to find a spot somewhere in that defense. Just saying. I mean, on top of that, Darius Slay and James Bradbury are getting up there in years. Cooper DeJean's actually a really good scheme fit as well. My Miami Dolphins would love a tackle, but sometimes some things aren't meant to be. I did think about Dallas Turner, but I mean, we're kind of set right now at edge. I don't see a means of him getting on the field early, but I do like Tyler Nubbin, dude. I think he'd come in and take basically be what Deshaun Elliott's been for us this year, which has been really impactful. So I like Tyler Nubbin here, man. The dude's a bit of a freak. And then 49ers fans, they're going to be screaming. We need offensive line. We need to get better at right tackle. And you know what? For me, it's just not on the board. And I know the Niners, they like to reach on prospects. I don't want to do that. So I was looking, I was like, okay, well, maybe they could get a little more depth at corner. I was thinking Diamondor Lenoir. He's kind of been fine, but I mean, if you could make a guy of his talent like a depth guy, then you're gonna feel really good about your cornerback room. So I'm gonna go with the freakish Nate Higgins. Where you at? Nate Wiggins. I said Higgins. So he is gonna be the final pick in this mock draft for the 49ers. So a very interesting draft nonetheless. Let me go ahead and move this over here so y'all can see all the picks that were made. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.